So, just a brief agenda then of what we were looking to cover this evening. We've already done the introductions, which is great. Just want to go through a bit of a background to the agronomy software and just the general cropping software that we offer at Landmark Systems. Then we'll go on and hand over to Charlie to run through a Pear Agronomy demo, and he'll show really how easy it is to use, whilst also covering the nutrient management module and how to create a spray recommendation. Moving on to Geofolia, where Rob will give a brief overview of Geofolia, which is our farmer version. And then just finishing off really with how easy it is to move to both Pear and Geofolia. And then, finally going through the development side on that side as well. So just really to go through a bit of a brief history of Landmark, for those of you that don't already know. So sort of key dates to us is that we were founded in 1987 by our founder, Nigel Parsons. Moving on into 2015, where we got bought out by a company called AICC. AICC operate in pretty much every European country. And if you go into a French household and say AICC, it would be like saying Farmers Weekly over here. So they're really well known and really trusted within the industry. And with getting bought out by AICC, we bought over Geofolia, our crop management software, which since then has been very heavily used throughout the UK and is also used in other European countries as well. Moving on to 2021, where we purchased Pear Agronomy. And since then, we've been working with agronomists to develop it to where it is today, which of course we'll show you later on. 2024, we also then launched our cloud-based account solution, Key Infinity. This is another account solution that we've got to add into our accounts portfolio. So it's not the only one that we offer, but it is our cloud-based solution. And then finally, moving on to 2025, we have recently bought out Sencrop. So we have that as a nice addition to add into our crop management portfolio. So just really why to choose Landmark. So we've got 98% customer satisfaction, and it's something that we're really proud of. We have over 3,000 happy customers. And in terms of our software support, we're proud to say that we have an average answer time of 4 seconds. So very much from the initial start of the client experience, the software consultants such as myself and Rob, we go out on site and do on-site demonstrations where the client needs this, through to going out hopefully annually to do regular updates with the client. And at that point, if the software needs to change, we can add on different modules and bits and pieces to keep it up to date with the changing needs that the client may have. Once the client's gone ahead with the software, we then hand over to our professional services team. This is where they go out on site or either do the training online, do an initial consultation to see what the client's requirements are, and train the product depending on the business. In addition to that, throughout the year, we do multiple webinars and also workshops as well. And finally, on the account side as well, we also offer a year-end assistance. And then we've also got our support team, which I've already mentioned, which is based down in Sussex in Pulborough, where we've got Monday to Friday, 9 to 5:30 full UK support. And on the crop side, you've got Ross there to assist you with any requirements that you have. As well as on the telephone, we've got a virtual login as well, where they can go in, dial in and show you where to go if you need any assistance on that side. So very much we're trusted by rural businesses of all sizes, starting with farms right through to estates, up to commercial businesses, and then we also deal with multiple professionals like yourselves as well. So just to give a brief overview on the products that we offer, as I touched on earlier, we have a full accounts range, starting with Key Prime Intro, which is our basic cash book solution, going through to Key Prime Accounts, which is probably our most used accounting software, going up to Key Prime Advanced, which is normally used by estates that have more complex reporting requirements. We've also got a couple of payroll solutions there as well, depending on whether the client needs to be cloud-based or if they would rather an in-store version. And then also have Key Infinity, our web-based account solution as well. For any clients that you speak to that might need a livestock management solution, we have a software called Livestock Data, so can cover that side as well. Going through to Key Prime Property, our property management solution, and then also, as we've already said, we've got Pear Agronomy and Geofolia for the crop management side. In terms of integrations, our software is mostly integrated with each other, with our Key Prime Accounts range sitting at the middle. So if a client would like to use one of our account softwares, very much they can add a purchase invoice onto Key Prime Accounts. That can then be sent across into Geofolia to update the stock center from that side. So they're only having to add the data once. And then Pear Agronomy is fully integrated into Geofolia. So you as agronomists can add your spray recommendations or nutrient management plans. And that's got an API linking into Geofolia. And that API goes both ways. So once the farmer has either completed the recommendation or edited it, that will then go back into Pear to say it's been completed as well. So Pear Agronomy, as I said, we acquired this in 2021. It does connect with Geofolia, our crop recording software. It's cloud-based, so it gives you the flexibility to access the software from anywhere where you've got an internet connection. It's a single price software which we charge annually, and within that, that includes the support fee within that fee as well, and also includes an uncapped number of clients to be held within the login as well. If you want to share across colleagues, so if you're both working on the same client, then that's not a problem at all. You can share the farms with your colleagues as required. It's got the link to the liaison pesticide database. And lastly, you can also export recommendations into several forms as well. Geofolia, as I mentioned, is our farmer crop management software. So it's really, really good for field by field visibility. And you can very much report on a field by field basis by crop type or variety. You've also got the chemical safety and auditing through the software as well. And also you've got full stock management ability. In terms of connectivity, as I've already said, it links into Pear Agronomy, but it also does link into Sencrop as well. Sencrop, as I've said, we bought them out in 2025. It's got a nice weather app that logs into Geofolia, and depending on the client's requirements, we can have a different plan for them to access the app, whereby they can drill into a variety of different stations surrounding their farm. And in addition to that, we can also supply the weather stations as well. And then from there, I will hand over to Charlie.
Hello. Let me share my. Okay, so yeah, I can now share my screen. Okay. Evening all. Hopefully you can now see the Pear Agronomy. thumbs up from someone to confirm. Did we?
We can see it, Charlie.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Um, so I'm just going to run through the day-to-day bits that people are likely to be using on this. I'm not going to go through the whole setup section of Pear because once we've imported your data, we don't have to do too much in the setup sections. I'm just going to go through the main spray recommendations and the fertilizer module that we have in here. So I'm going to start with the spray recommendations. So we have our home screen. We can go straight to our spray recommendations. For this farm, we've got this demo farm set up, and in the current cropping year, we currently have no spray recommendations, but I'm just going to run through creating some recommendations and then using templates to save time and see the pesticide auditing function. So let me make a start. So we start with a blank list of recommendations for the current year on this farm, and I'm going to start a new recommendation. So I am going to do a preem on my winter wheat. So give it a name. I can select the relevant crops that are going to be involved. So this is picking up what the fields in this year have been planted as. It knows we've got these three different crop types. I'm just going to be working with winter wheat, but we can do recommendations across multiple crops. So if you're doing a stubble burn, for example, you can do that across the whole farm. But we're just going to do winter wheat, and we're going to quickly backdate ourselves to, let's say, we went on the 1st of October at a preem, and the latest application, give it a week after we visited. So we can fill in these details. The water volume and the spray setting can be adjusted, but they are set by default for each farm under the setup section. But once you've done it, they appear. As I say, you can adjust them as required, but we can just click next. Because we've selected wheat as the crop that we are working with in this recommendation, it has already filtered our fields by our winter wheat fields. We want to select all of these fields. So we bring them across, and if we wanted to change an area, let's just say hypothetically we only wanted to spray 5 hectares of this field, we can update it in here on the job, and it shows us we're only going to be targeting a 5-hectare spray area on that field. Moving on to the next screen, we can select our sprays. So I've got a list of sprays. So as Annabelle said, we have a link to the liaison database. That's got a couple of thousand products in it. We have what we call a working list of sprays. So the products that you are likely to use, you add to your working list from liaison. You can put pricing against it as well. And then this list that we see here in the drop downs is purely those working sprays that you have. It just says filtering through a rather long list, and I've got some here. If you need to add a new spray, you just click new spray there, and you can automatically add another product straight to your list. I'm going to choose a Roundup spray, partly because it also shows us this application stage selector. So because it's Roundup, we've obviously got different stages. We can be using that, and depending on the stage that we choose will affect the auditing of that product. So at a pre-emergent stage, we then get a maximum dose rate of 1.5 on our winter wheat. So we can put our rate in, and if I hypothetically put that in at 2 litres per hectare, it tells us over here it's 133%. But if I add that to the mix, this is where we get our safe check system. We call it our safe check, but the audit. And we can soon or very easily see we've got a couple of red crosses for our dose rate. So the proposed is 2 and the maximum allowed is 1.5. So I'm going to cancel that. You can, if you need, and there's a requirement to override the system, you can still add it to the mix. And we're just developing at the moment that if you do that, when you view your recommendation, there will be a warning to show that it is approved, but it has it has exceeded or it is outside of the audit remit or rules. So I'm going to cancel this and put it back to a rate of 1.5, which is 100%, add that to the mix, and we get a latest application. So we just get a bit of a comment showing here that it's coming through from Liaison, and we get green ticks against other checks. So we've got a compatible product with these fields. So I'm going to add that to the mix, and you can then see it appears at the bottom in our spray mix down here. We've got the map number, we've got the dose rate, total units, what the percentage rate is, cost per hectare based on the costings you've put in, total cost, if there's any LERAP categories, harvest interval, and then you can adjust the order of the sprays here. So if you have more than one spray, you can move them up and down the order, and then you can say mix them in the order of the list. You can also edit them, so I can bring it back up to here and adjust the rate and update the spray. It will do my audit again, or I can delete it. But we'll just go with a one product mix for now. Go next, and then I can add my reasons for treatment. So I am going to be doing a pre-em on this. So these lists here are pre-populated. You do that in the setup section. So over on the left-hand side, we have this problem and comment list. So once you've got it set up, as I say, I don't want to dwell on it too much tonight, but these are lists that are then used as drop-downs through the program, of which this was one of them. So we can also add a comment here. We have some default ones. Apply this in, there's various options here. It might be you want to add a user comment, such as spray pre-em. Sorry, excuse my spelling. Spray pre-em. Add that, and then you've created your basic recommendation. Hit save. You can either save as a draft and come back to check it later, or if you save it as approved, it gets a recommendation number, which is incremental and cannot be changed because that is part of the record keeping. That now is an official recommendation with a number that is not able to be changed. So we've created a recommendation very easily. It gives us a summary here. What we can then do is we could copy that recommendation to a template. So if I copy it to a template and it picks up the name that we use, so it's a pre-em on winter wheat, and save that. And then if I go to my templates, you'll see I've got my pre-em winter wheat here. I can select it, do a new recommendation, and you'll see all of this information is already populated. It defaults to today's date when you're creating a recommendation, but the growth stages, the crop type, the recommendation name, and the spraying setup are all set or saved from the template. So you can literally go next if you're happy with the date. I'm not going to change it, just in essence of time, but go next. We've then got our list of our wheat fields again. You will see that we now have a number one in this column here. So this is recording that we have one recommendation against each of these fields. So it allows you, if you're needing to split a crop out, so you might have 10 fields, 8 of them need products X on, and 2 remaining fields need product X and Y. You can see when you come into here, you could see that some of these would have a different number against them, and you can then select the fields that are one less and know that those are the ones that need to be the product X and Y recommendation. So it's a simple counter based on the number of recommendations. It can be cleared at any point back to 0, but it does let you filter or find fields much quicker. It's easy here when we're only looking at 4 fields, but if you have 20 wheat fields and you just need to find the 5 that are got that extra bit of disease or whatever, it just helps identify them. I will just select a couple of fields, go next, Again, because it's the template, the Roundup by Active and the rate is automatically included. So I don't need to change that. I go next. The weeds and my user enter comment are already there. So when I go to save it now, it will now do my safe check audit. And because we are doing this on the same fields that we just did, we are getting a cumulative dose. We're getting a fail because we're trying to put 3 litres on at pre-M against a maximum dose of 1.5. As I say, we can override that, save it as approved, and you can then see I have got very quickly, I've created another recommendation for some other fields using the template. So I have created recommendations there. If I wanted to then, I would just create another one, which is a different template here. So I got a T2 recommendation here. I can scan through. You'll now see we've got the 2 and the 1, so the different numbers showing. We can order this the other way so we know which ones we want to do. For example, it's got a product already in there and it's got reasons already included. So I have there created a new recommendation for our winter wheat T2, hypothetically speaking. So I've now got a couple of recommendations. I'm going to select the first one and the most recent one we did, because this one in the middle was a bit of a replication, but we can then export them in various formats. So we can export to the old Gatekeeper system via an XML file. So that is a manual file import. We can also do that to the desktop versions of Geofolia. That's an XML file import. But we do have the Geofo link, which is the API link to Geofolia. So I'm going to export this recommendation to Geofolia, and then we will see that coming through. So I will send it off. It processes it. Hide that. At the point of sending the recommendation, I get the option to send an email to whoever it may be. It might be the spray operator, the farm manager, Ross, whoever it is, but there's a list of email addresses set up here, and we can tick whoever we want to send it to. There's a default comment here, but we can add our own comments if we need to give the farmer or manager a bit more information, and send that out. So those recommendations are now sent over to Geofolia, and you'll see when Rob picks up in a minute that we can view them in Geofolia and get them completed. When they are completed, if I use this middle one, I can go in and view that myself as an agronomist, and it gives me all a summary. I can go and complete it. So if the farmer is not very quick or hasn't kept his records up to date, you can go in and say he completed it tomorrow, and this is where we can adjust the rate. And this would come back from Geofolia as well. But let's just say, hypothetically, they put it on at 1.3 rather than the 1.5 recommended, because that's how much stock they had left in. We can then save that, and you'll now see this recommendation in the middle, number 5, is completed. So if I then, just to show you how that works, so that feedback from a completed recommendation, be it from Geofolia or from the agronomist doing it themselves because they've spoken to the farmer and found out what they've got on with. If I choose my winter wheat and go through, if I select those 2 fields and then go to spray history, you'll see that this recommendation number 5, the recommended rate was 1.5 litres per hectare, but the actual rate applied, because it's now a completed recommendation, is 1.3. So where you are doing second doses of the same product on the crop, that actual rate applied is then used for the auditing of the next recommendation. So you can up the rate a bit if you've had a slightly lower rate in the first instance. So, and you can have a quick summary here of the spray history over this field over the current year and the last year. So that's just showing some of the feedback from the farmer with the dose rate then affecting the future recommendations. I won't go through the rest of that recommendation, but I just wanted to show that to you. So bring over, come up on another screen, but hopefully this is the recommendation sheet that's been created for one of those recommendations that we sent. This was our pre-em one for the 4 fields. You'll note the area was the 5 hectares, not the total cropping area. And we've got our product here, map numbers, active ingredients, and the dose rates, total amount, whether the dose rate, 100%, harvest interval. And then it shows if you're dealing in part tanks on your sprayer, because we have a tank capacity up here of 3,000 litres for this farm, it will tell us that we need 1.44 tanks. And as a result, we have 22.5 litres in the first tank and 9.89 litres of product in the second tank. So it's just a useful, does some of the calculations for the farmers. They can quickly see when they're doing part tanks how much water and how much product they need in those part tanks. We've got the reasons showing here, and we've got comments showing up here that we added. That was our spray pre-em. And then these comments here are automatically pulled out of liaison. So some products that have lots of comments in liaison and timing comments will have quite a long list there, but we're dumping the information out of liaison onto our spray recommendation. The next one is the spray recommendation for the T2 application. So that was only for the 2 fields with a different product. And then at the end, we get a requirements list showing the products we need, the pack sizes that we have them set up as on our system, the total units required for the 2 recommendations, and how many packs we need. So that is a very quick look at the spray recommendation sheet. You can create order notes from recommendations as well, and you can add product if you need to. If you know that they're going to be needing some extra Roundup next week, you can get it ordered even if it doesn't happen to be in the current set of recommendations. But I'm not going to go into that detail today. I'm going to keep going with the core bits for today, but so we've looked at the recommendations, creating them. We've got the templates. They are available across different farms, and you can go in and you can edit a template and save it as a replica or under a new name if you want to just make a little tweak. So there's various options there for saving time once you're set up. So that was all on the spray recommendation side. Just to show you, related to the sprays, we've got the liaison database, so we can search in here for any products, and we can click on them and we can see general information, active ingredients, what they're approved for use on, and their different dose rates according to the crop. Expiry dates, emus show here, and these are where the comments come through into the spray recommendations. So it's used on various different crops, this one, but that's kind of a manual searching of the liaison database, and that is what effectively is being queried when we do our safe check audit. But just to show that, and that's updated regularly from and supplied by Ferra with the liaison database. So I'm now going to move on to our nutrient module. So done spray recommendations in a very short, quick time. But I'm now going to go through the fertilizer module. So this is how you would start the nutrient planning in the new cropping year that we're working with. We call it our traffic light system. So you'll see we've got lots of red crosses here, but we will very quickly work our way through them, and that will ensure that RB209 system, so we're using an API to link to the RB209, is getting all the required information and hence able to return the relevant nutrient figures back that we need for these fields. So firstly, we will select our fields. I'm going to, so let's just select our winter wheat fields and our spring oat fields here. So just to add a couple to it, go on to the crop. So we've now got a green tick for the fields we want to be working with at the moment. The reason we have the selection is because we're working with the API, there is a time delay. And if we're pulling across lots of fields, and you'll see on the next screen, when we go into the fertilizer plan, it's quite busy. So you can limit it to certain crops and just target, right, I'm just going to do my wheat fields today, or in this job, and it just keeps it a bit simpler. Crop planting. So we need to get the previous crop, which we, at the click of a button here, it should do it. It says the following fields don't have a crop type in the previous year, but you'll see all the others have pulled through a previous crop, which happened to be winter wheat. And then this one, I can choose a previous crop, and it clearly wasn't planted in the prior year. So that one hasn't got a previous crop, so it doesn't know. I'll take that one out for simplicity. So the crop planting, we've now got our previous crop showing, and it knows our current crops and varieties shown here. The previous grass for these selected fields, we can do a group select, and we can choose, you're probably familiar with a lot of these options, but for simplicity, we'll use not grass in three previous years. Harvest details, we can see that we've got some crops, but let's select our wheat fields. That one, for some reason, is missing. So with feed wheat, it's going to be baled. Target yield is 10 tonne. Don't know why these yields haven't come through. We've got feed, baled, 10. And last one. Okay. The oats are missing too. What have you done, Ross? Resetting my data. Sorry, there's something. Okay, so we've got all our information for our harvest details. Soil analysis is showing a yellow warning. That basically means that we're using default soil analysis results rather than official up-to-date soil analysis, which is fine. It will work, and it will base its values on these indexes. So for the different soil types, depending which field in which soil type, it will give you these P and K values by default. You can go and change these for each farm, or you can add your own soil analysis, and then this will get a green tick. But orange is fine. We can go with orange. Soil types and altitude is one of the RB209 inputs, but it's generally the soil type, NVZ program, co-release and clay and over chalk, and the altitude. So they are set up when you import your fields into the program. Rainfall, we need to add the rainfall for the current year. So based on your postcode for the farm, it gets the average annual rainfall, and you can go and put in your excess and summer rainfall as required. There are default figures put there. So you can add your rainfall. The crop links is good to go. We've talked about default soil index. And if you had grass fields in your plan, you would have to just do the grass defoliations, which is under this traffic light, but we don't have any grass at the moment. So now I've got Fertilizer Planner available to me because we've got all the information set up. And this is where it's querying the API. So we're sending data backwards and forwards here to get our results. And as you can see, we've got our fields of wheat and our spring oats. Over on the right-hand side, we've got the requirements for those fields. And we've got our NMAX. And then moving left-handed, we've got our plan, our nutrient plan. So currently these are blank in here, which is what we're going to work at now. And on the left-hand side, this is showing that there are no valid soil analysis results. If you had soil analysis, they would be showing here, but effectively indicating we're using default numbers. So I'm just very quickly going to go in and I'm going to start creating a plan. So we can see our requirements on the top row here, and we can see what's in our plan and our balance in the yellow line. So if I start adding a fertilizer, I'm going to choose Nitram, and it's going to be my N1 application. And we can choose a growth stage. You can set up behind the scenes based on the description, the growth stage and the timing will automatically populate. And we can say it's going to be mid-March to early April. We're going to put it on 100 kilos, and we can then say we're getting 34.5 kilos of N. You can also work it back the other way. If you want that to be 50 kilos of N, it will calculate your rate. So it works both ways, and we can add that, and you can see we start to build up. We've got our N1. I'm then just going to add some organic fertilizer. So this is the full list of organic manures available from RB209. You can add your own manure analysis if you've got it into this. So, but these are the default ones from RB209 if you're using those. Description is going to be my manure application, and I'm going to be putting this on in the autumn prior. So I'm going to put it on at 10 tons. It's going to be soil incorporated, and I'm going to be doing it back in let's say August time. Hope we've got the crops off and got it applied then. And you'll see then that we've got 60 kilos is the total N in that muck, but only 5 kilos being available. And similarly, we've got the same for the other nutrients here. So we can save that. Sorry, I've got something there, my fault. Save that, and we've now got our N1 application and our manure application showing on here. So you can start to build up a plan. You can obviously keep adding to that. I won't for now, but you can see we've now got 40 kilos of N in our plan, and we still need to make up another 180. So very easy to see how that works. I'm going to go back, and you will then see for this first field, we've got some figures beginning to show, as well as the fact it's got organic content in it. What I can then do is if I copy that plan, I want to apply that. I know it's half finished in this example, but I want to apply that to my other wheat or some of my other wheat fields. If I copy that plan, the system picks up the remaining wheat fields that don't have a plan, and you can select them all and apply it to all of them, or whichever ones you wish. And you'll then see that all 3 or all 4 fields now have the same plan applied. You can then go in if there's a requirement. You can go in, edit the plan, and make tweaks, because you can edit this and adjust the rate on any of the planned applications, and tweak it on an individual field basis as required. We also have, similar to the spray recommendations, we have templates. So you can create a new template, which you can let's say we'll do one for our winter wheat. You see it looks very similar to that page we were just working on that field. You can start adding your fertilizers and creating your template. I've got one set up here for spring oats. So if I go back and select my spring oat fields and choose to apply a template, you will see it filters my templates to just the ones that are set up for spring oats. I don't want all the winter wheat templates showing in here, or else the list will become endless. So I've got some spring oat templates to apply there. Hit save, and these three fields, they have a name because we've given this template a name, and we've also got, by chance, it happens to be the same numbers as in our winter wheat applications, that we can see us beginning to build a plan. And again, we can go in and make tweaks to this as required. You can then export, once you've created your plans, you can export them as jobs to Geofolia. So we've got the Geofolia button up here, and that will export the relevant. So if we select just our wheat fields and want to export them using Geofolia link, we can choose the jobs that we want, whether it's the N1 or N2 applications, whichever ones, might be all of them, but you can choose which ones you want to send over, and that will send a job to Geofolia to be visible in Geofolia. I won't do that now, just to keep things moving. So very quick run through about creating plans, etc. If I just go back, we've also got the Nmax in here. So for our fields, we've got the various Nmax for the relevant fields, and we can see we've got our base yield of 8 tonne, but we're targeting 10. The yield adjustment showing in there, so we've got our adjusted Nmax, and we've got various reports in there and summaries and crop type breakdowns for the Nmax reports. So that is very, very quick run through some pretty detailed stuff, but hopefully giving you a flavour of hopefully the ease and speed to using it, not too complex, and it does a good job of creating those plans and spray recommendations. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Rob, who's going to have a very quick look at Geofolia, and I'll be back a bit later for
sorry, Charlie. There is a couple of questions come in. I thought rather than moving on.
I haven't been looking. I've been
that's fine.
Chatting.
Can you build your list of sprays for all clients, or will you need to add each product separately for each client?
Hello, Robert. I can see that now. Yes, your list of sprays, that is your list as an agronomist and is available to all of your clients. So it is an agronomist-defined list, and available to all of your clients. So hopefully that keeps it simpler. You're not having to duplicate products across different clients, because that would be very tiresome. So once you created the product, it's available for all clients. Similar with the fertilizer list. So that's available to all clients, as are the templates. We talked about the templates in both the fertilizer and the spray side. They are available to all clients. They could be named separately, because one might have, I don't know, might be a winter wheat poultry manure, and that's relevant to a certain client. So you can name it accordingly, but they are available to all clients. Hopefully that answers that question. And then I've seen your next question. Can it calculate the headland area if all you want to do is spray the headland area? It doesn't. It can't calculate the headland area. If you know the headland area of 24, 36 meters, whatever it is, and have that as an area, then absolutely, when you create the spray recommendation, if you remember, we looked at adjusting the spray operation area. So you could just go and choose that headland area for the relevant field. So it doesn't calculate it, but it can be entered for just doing certain areas of the field. Hope that, so I can't see you, I've got the chat, but hope that answers that question.
Okay, thank you, Charlie.
I will stop sharing Soil at Me and pass over to Rob. Thanks.
Hopefully, if I share this, you can now see my screen. I'll just shrink everyone down. So, just Geofolia, to give you a bit of a background, Geofolia, we brought it into the UK from France, 2019 roughly. And French farming is very much share farming. The ability of share farming, or the ability of the software, means that we can store all the data on our server. We're completely independent, don't link to anybody. And so as far as we're concerned, all data is their own, but you're only installing software onto the PC side of it. Apologies, I now can't seem to move this bar.
Oh, Rob, I don't know. I think you've gone on to mute.
You've muted yourself.
You're back on now.
Back. Sorry. We can import the maps from the RPA or shape files into Geofolia. We have here basically our fields that we've imported. We've then put our crops into them, and we have our areas down on our left-hand side here. The data, as I say, is all stored in on our server. We're completely independent and don't harvest any data. As far as we're concerned, the data is our clients. Once the maps are imported, we can group the fields together and update fields at the same time. Selecting an individual field, we have a description, so the field name, field reference, the area and mapped area, these can be different. The farm and town, so you can have multiple farms set up within inside Geofolia. Very brief soil type. Cropping, you can have multiple crops within inside of here, so we can handle countryside sureships, elms, whatever it may be, and the main crops. And then you have your planting, harvest dates, target yields, varieties, etc. History is our previous cropping. Spreadable areas can be managed, going through to the activities that have been carried out within inside that field of a date, a time, and the activity itself, any inputs that have been applied and the rates, going down to these 3 coins on the right hand side, so we can actually get a cost of a job before we even go and do anything. The farm setup, we can record equipment, and you can set up a cost for each of our individual equipment on an hour or hectare basis. Employees, we can record all of the employees' details within inside of that and set up an employee cost per hour. Inputs side of it, our input system, we work on a first in, first out basis, and so we can have our farm or multiple stock center or multiple stock centers with the input, order it in any way you want, export it to Excel, initial stock, invoices, product used, any inventory corrections, and then your final stock. And we can even set up our own unit price if we wanted to, by adding it into our settings side of it. And you have an average price throughout the year. So when you start your cropping year, that's your starting point. You can have as many cropping years running as you wish. And so it's all very flexible, very easy to do. The activities log, I have my list of activities here, and if I click the refresh button, that will import anything from Charlie's point of view that he's sent across as an agronomist, and I flick to 26. Any activity that he's applied will feature in this list. Anything in black is completed, anything in blue with a calendar is a planned activity. We can refresh the weather from SendCrop and have that connectivity. Report side of it, we can print out worksheets or work plans, bringing through details and detailed reports for contracting work if needs be, of what was applied, who was applied, what, where, weather, etc. These tabs will all stay open so the farmer can keep doing one job and have multiple jobs going at the same time. Nutrient plans, as Charlie's gone through from that side, we can set up nutrient plans on a field basis. Apologies, my screen is now buffering. Here we go. And we can set up an NPK, calcium, magnesium, sulfur requirements for individual fields. We can do multiple fields at the same time. And going through descriptions, soil type, the cropping, year 1, year 2 cropping can be recorded, environmental spreadable areas, and then a detailed soil analysis can be kept. And then we can set our fixed rates from within inside of this, even down to presetting activities on how we're going to apply that throughout the year. Harvest can be recorded within inside of it. Very simple and easy process, adding a sales invoice and going through where it was sold, etc. Going through to economics, being able to produce a growing crop valuation, and you can produce this at any point throughout the year, which if I display that, will give me my inputs, my crops, my activities, and my cost of production, crop valuation, sorry, down the right-hand side. Throughout this, because of the data that we're putting into it and can be done, the majority of the work can be completed off of the app. We end up with sort of 3 levels of reporting. If I turn the pie chart on and select a field, I can get through to my target yield, last activity, last application, and a possible harvest date based on my last application. Fertilizer application of NP and K. My expenditure within inside of that field. Here you can see my list of seeds, fertilizers, chemicals, and hovering over it, I can get the actual details. Producing basically my net margin expenditure per hectare, and then when I sell the crop as an income per hectare. That's level 1. Level 2, it would be my dashboard. From here, I have all of my crops, main crop, secondary crop, total hectares 24, 25, and my margins. I can see whether I'm up or down, and I can do this in a hectare or per ton basis. Activities comparison on a variety or by crop basis. Economics, production costs by crop. Because I've completed all the activities, it's filled the data in for me, going down to my crop year yield progression and crop distribution. Finally, going through to back onto my crop rotation. And if I click on my reports, I can then get a full list of my other reports, input summary, through to traceability records. Being able to see who's applied what, and that's come through blank, apologies. Who's applied what, when, map numbers all being sent through, direct drilled on a field by field basis, or going back to my crop rotation, going through to gross margins on a worksheet by field, by variety, by crop. So that's a very brief overview of Geofolia. The whole thing is built on layers, so you can add drawings with inside of it of landscape items. And then we also have green scan imaging included with inside of it, where we link to a satellite called Sentinel, updated every 2 to 3 weeks. And that will give green scan imaging of the farm. Geofolia is sold as a package. We don't do we don't do modules. It's literally you buy the Geofolia, you have the number of users and the number of apps that you require, and that's it. Hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight. If you want any more information, obviously feel free to ask. I shall stop sharing my screen and pass over to Ross.
Thank you, Rob. Annabelle, could you share? Yeah, thank you. So in my bit, I just want to briefly talk about moving over to Pear and really how simple and hassle-free the process is. We can import your existing data directly from Gatekeeper and Geofolia, or even from a spreadsheet, so you're not starting from scratch. Ideally, we'd bring across a minimum of 2 years of cropping data. This is the minimum required for the RB209 calculations. And also allows you to get good results out of the program straight away. That said, if importing data doesn't fit your particular situation, you can absolutely start from fresh as well. We can begin with Pear or Geofolia first. It really depends on what works best for your operation and your immediate priorities, as well as your customers. The key takeaway is really this. I take on the stress of converting your data and getting everything set up. I'll guide you through any early teething problems so the transition feels smooth and fully supported. The goal is quite simple, really. We're going to try and make the move as straightforward, supported, and as tailored to you as possible. So that's realistically it from me. It's quite short and sweet. I'll hand back over to Charlie to speak more about the development.
Right. I'm just going to run through quickly some of the development that we've been doing in the last more recently, and this is with a lot of input from AICC members who have been helping us. So we are very keen to work with you guys because we want it to be useful and do the jobs that you need it to do. But just some of the recent developments, we've done as a user request the multiple crop spray recommendations. I know that has made some people very happy. We've now got Excel spreadsheet exports for the reports, so you can pull out various data and tweak it if you need to in an Excel file. We've obviously got the API with Geofolia that is new in the last year or so, and are finessing that, but it does send and receive data through the spray and fertilizer side. We've got the email functionality, which I showed earlier, sending any reports, spray recommendations, nutrient plans. All of those can be sent direct from the program. They're copied to you as the agronomist, and your clients get a copy too. As well as the liaison database, we've also added a database for the adjuvants. There was a lot of issues happening because I didn't mention earlier, but as well as the liaison products, you can create your own products if they don't happen to be in liaison. You can create manual products, and people are doing that with adjuvants. But we thought it would be worth importing an adjuvants database, which we keep up to date with the liaison. So you can add it from a list of existing known adjuvants. Even more recently, we've been doing a import. So soil analysis results can now be imported through an Excel spreadsheet form to save having to manually enter them. And similarly, as Ross just said, we can import farms and fields from an Excel spreadsheet if they're not coming out of a Gatekeeper or other product in an XML file. So makes your setting up a bit easier. in addition, we've been doing some bespoke development for a company, creating a suite of specific reports for them that can be generated into one pack to suit their requirements. So we are very flexible. Development takes place in the UK, all within Landmark team ourselves, and we are willing to work with you if there's certain needs or wishes. Please shout, and we'll try and accommodate it as best we can. On that, we've currently got Brett pointing here from CCC, and he is just going to give hopefully an honest opinion of using the Pear system for the last few years and seeing some of those developments happen, which Brett and his team and others have helped us through the development with. So I'll pass on now. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. So been using it for a few years now. I didn't use some of us used the old Pear program, but I actually used Gatekeeper originally. Didn't get on very well with it, as I know many people have frustrations with it. So yeah, moved all the farms over, which was relatively straightforward. Although it was right at the beginning, so there were teething problems back then, but they've all been sorted. And yeah, we in terms of spray recommendations, everything's there, very easy to use. The multiple crop recommendation functionality now is very helpful. That was one thing that was certainly holding it back, but now you have the capability of say using Roundup across multiple crops rather than just individual ones. So yeah, saves a lot of time. I mean, going through a recommendation is very quick. Saving templates and using templates is all very, very easy. I think probably the best part of the program is the nutrient management side. I really, took a huge amount of time on Gatekeeper making nutrient management plans, but I would say they probably take about a fifth of the time on Pear. They really are that quick. Once you've got a lot of templates made, you really are away then, and it's just fiddling around with changing the P and Ks across, depending on what's required. So in terms of organic manures in there as well, I always found that Gatekeeper was throwing out some very annoying results and often some X's that you couldn't quite put your finger on, whereas the organic manure side of it is incredibly quick and easy. So I think in terms, I also use Greenlight for a few farms. In terms of an all-round product, I'd much prefer Pear. Although spray recommendations on Greenlight are quite easy, I don't like the nutrient management side of it. Having to have individual recs for each application gets quite frustrating, whereas on Pear it's all there. You can send just individual applications that you want in one go, or you can send a whole management plan in one go. So yeah, in terms of the reporting, it's got better. We have been talking to Charlie a lot and saying what we would quite like and what would make it better, and the reports were one of them that is now actually a couple of new ones have come out recently which help a lot, and being able to have them onto Excel spreadsheets also helps for just tweaking around with them and sending things like seed reports exactly how you want them. So yeah, I think truthfully it really is quite a very good program, and it's nice working with a company that's willing to work with us and make changes, and not just kind of say, yeah, we'll look into it and then not hear anything back from them, which is what you get from all the other larger products like your Gatekeepers and your testers. So I think that's realistically everything wraps up from me, I think.
Thank you, Brett. Perfect. So just to sort of finish off, really, we have recently put together a trusted agronomy partner program. And within this, we are sort of aiming the programme at independent agronomists like yourselves, where, we've put together this partner programme, and within that, we're asking partners to effectively, actively recommend Geofolia. This offer we've put together is for new clients to Geofolia only. Within that, we've got a discount which is valid off of the main products. And what we've put together is that agronomists that refer people to Geofolia get 25% off of the total value of Pear and the initial onboarding within Pear. You gain access to partner branded materials. You get recognition as a landmark systems trusted partner. And in addition to that, we've also got a partner portal whereby you can log into the portal and get marketing products and other access to things like development updates and additions such as that. In addition to becoming a partner, you get discounted rates for clients being referred to Geofolia. And how we're running that is on a level of different bandings. So the first banding is for 3 or more clients being referred to Geofolia. And within that, the client will gain 15% discount to the Geofolia purchase price. Moving on to band 2, where 5 or more clients being referred to Geofolia gains 20% discount to the Geofolia purchase price. And then finally, band 3, where 10 or more clients referred to Geofolia gains 25% off of the Geofolia discount price. So it's something nice and new that we've put together, and benefits both yourselves as an agronomist and also hopefully your clients as well. So really, just to finish off, are there any additional questions at all? Stunned silence. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for attending. And if you've got any questions at all that spring to mind following this evening, then please feel free to get in touch and we're more than happy to help. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.